So thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So, news coming from World Boxing News here. It says that they've officially revealed that the numbers for Dillian Whyte versus Alexander pay-per-view, the Alexander Povetkin pay-per-view I should say, they show a decline. They show a decline in the number of pay-per-view buys. I'm going to read this here directly. It says, according to the official viewing figures, Povetkin's stunning knockout over Dillian Whyte, what was a dramatic battle, secured a broadcast of 222,000 pay-per-view buys. Further derailing into the stats shows that the total 3-screen viewing as viewed was 177,000, while a total of 218 hit the record books once the next week viewing figures were published. Sadly for Sky Box Office broadcast in the UK from Eddie Hearn's back garden, it's the fourth poor showing from their last 5 pay-per-views. Wow. Predictably, only Anthony Joshua has generated substantial margins for British pay-per-views. British boxing continues to go through a recession, etc., etc. So, yeah, Jesus. Obviously, we knew Anthony Joshua, the pay-per-view in New York, was probably not going to do as good in numbers because it was Ruiz on a short notice gig and it was an early morning pay-per-view, etc., etc. We know the Rivas fight didn't do great numbers. The Taylor Prograis fight, again, not amazing. But we all knew that AJ versus Ruiz 2 would do great numbers because of the story there. That went without saying. I did think this would do better numbers than it did. I really did. It was a good fight. Even before, we saw the fight, we knew this fight was going to be good. We did. But at the end of the day, lest we forget what's going on in the world. People losing their jobs. People not having as much disposable income. I am in a very lucky position where I am. Right, that I still have a job. I nearly didn't at one stage during this whole nearly didn't, this close to, right? So I know that I need to be careful what I do and where I look after my money and where I spend my money. Now, I bought that pay-per-view. All right, I paid for it, I watched it on TV, and I also watched it on my laptop as well. So I was one of the guys who bought it in Ireland, and it doesn't surprise me in one sense that we're seeing reduced numbers. I did think for that one, because it was such a big, this isn't necessarily an event, but because it was a big fight against 2 names, Dillian Whyte is well known enough in the UK. Povetkin will be known amongst the hardcore fans, but he'll also be known amongst the casuals for the AJ fight, which was 2 years ago now. It seems an eternity away. So I did think it would do better numbers, but in another sense, I'm not surprised, as I said, that we're not seeing massive viewing figures for that fight. Just because at the end of the day, people, 20 quid in February this year, yeah, that's no problem. 20 quid in August this year, yeah, it's a different story. Things change quickly. And, it's not going to be a case of this is going to change overnight. We're going to be feeling the effects of this for another couple of years. Easily another 3-4 years. So, in terms of pay-per-views, I expect to see plenty of pay-per-views flop. Chisora Usyk. I would not want to be Eddie Hearn in the weeks after that fight. Not because I think one of the guys are going to lose. Well, someone's going to lose, we know that. But in terms of the show, he's been talking about putting David Lemieux versus John Ryder, Hughie Fury versus Dave Allen, Conor Benn versus Chris Jenkins, and I think he had someone else planned as well. All good fights except for Alan Fury. That's not a good fight at all. But all these guys are going to want to get paid sufficiently, right? So there's no gate. There's no gate to make any money from. All right, so you're not going to get that. All right, Chisora, yeah, decent name. Usyk is known, but neither guy is, Jesus, we all know who this guy is. Neither guy is like that. Neither guy is a guy you'd really, think of straight away when you think of British boxing or Usyk in general. I can't see this doing good pay-per-view buys. In fact, I can see this doing very low pay-per-view buys. I don't want to be negative, and I don't like giving a negative spin on things, but it's just what I'm seeing. It's just the way I have a feeling about it. The fact that we're getting this fight announced 5 weeks outside, literally, Povetkin versus Whyte, when it was finally signed and sealed for August, that was announced at the end of June. So they had about 2 months to get ready for that fight. We literally have 5 weeks until fight day. 5 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, but that's it. So how much PR are you going to get done? How much selling of this fight are you going to get done? So They can put these guys on the undercard if they want, and it might sell better numbers, and I say it might, but at the end of the day, people just, and at the end of the day, you're talking about people paying for that fight on the 31st of October. 21st of October, they have Dillian Whyte versus Povetkin. Maybe, I say maybe, they'll have Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones if it's pay-per-view over here in the UK and in Ireland. All right, and then possibly, and I think Eddie Hearn's going with it, we'll have AJ versus Pulev. Right, now let's just take out Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones. We'll just forget about that one, okay? Just for the time being, because it's not a matchroom card. But that is still 3 pay-per-views in reasonably quick succession, right? 60 quid to the average person, right? On top of what they're already paying for Sky, all right? And lest we forget, AJ might be there. That might be 25, who knows? Those pay-per-views are going to flop. Now, someone might say Kell Brook as well, but I've heard on a stream, I think it was on Beat's stream, or might have been on Del's, that fight might be on BT Sports. Believe it or not, BT Sports might actually be able to get Kell Brook on there. Not because Frank Warner will be working with it, but because Bob Arum might be able to put it on BT Sport. So if it's not on BT Sport, you would imagine, would they do that pay-per-view? I don't know. Would they do Kell Brook on pay-per-view for Terence Crawford? Hard to tell. But we could potentially have 4 back-to-back pay-per-views. I just cannot see that working. The pay-per-view platform, in a good economy, works. Well, some people would argue it doesn't work, but if you're expecting to make a profit on this paper, on these cards, without a crowd, if you're expecting to raise revenue by putting it on pay-per-view, with the way things are in the world now, with the world's economy, with everything that's going on, I can't see any of these pay-per-views doing good numbers. You know, I can see Eddie Hearn taking serious hits on these pay-per-views, and the problem with this is, this may, and I don't like sounding negative on this channel, I really don't, but this may have a knock-on effect for further big fights, because it might be harder to actually get big fights made if these 2 fighters, I'm not talking about these 2 fighters specifically, but if you're looking next year and the situation is still not fully resolved, if you've got 2 big fighters who want to be paid well, you're looking at putting it on pay-per-view. Eddie Hearn might be thinking, hang on a sec, towards the end of 2020, I took a hit on some of these pay-per-views. I don't want it to happen again. You know, so I might not be able to pay you as much as I want if I want to put this on pay-per-view. So, you know, it's a strange one. You know, it really is. It's an interesting one to look at. But anyway, that's what I got to say on this. Let me know your thoughts. Povetkin, Dillian Whyte, pay-per-view numbers not great. Again, are you surprised? And do you think we're going to see similar scenario with Usyk Chisora? Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe. Of course, if you are new, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. It really does help out. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. As always, people, I will talk to you. Stay safe. Peace.